Hey everybody, I know I just tagged like a bunch of people, but welcome to another Facebook Live with Paige. Today we are going to start talking about some incontinence and some different aspects of incontinence. Right now I'm just sharing to a couple moms groups just to make sure I get to the most people that I possibly can. Hi Miss Linda, love you. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about incontinence, but we're not going to talk so much about the details because if you guys remember a couple videos ago, we did kind of do the nitty-gritty details about incontinence. Hello, Miss Francis. Hey, Amber. So yeah, we did a couple of videos ago, like not last time, but the time before that, where we did common reasons to see a pelvic floor PT. We talked about the different types of incontinence, including urinary incontinence, which there's urge. Then we did flatulence, and we did excuse me. Ooh, everybody's watching. Thanks, Miss Francis. You're so sweet. Everybody tells me I look pretty, and I'm like, y'all don't understand how long I had to work to be this pretty. We're not going to talk about it though. Only Jesus needs to know that. Anyway, thanks, Amber. I worked really hard. Anyway, okay. So, other than the fact that I worked really hard on my makeup, let's actually get to talking about things that are going to help people, shall we? So, before we really get into talking about some of the details that we are going to go over today, I just want to mention there is a lot of hope for you guys that are struggling with incontinence, whether it is urge or flatulence or fecal, urinary incontinence in general. You guys, there is a lot of hope for you, and especially with some of the stuff we're talking about, I'm hoping that you can implement some stuff today that might actually really affect you sooner rather than later if you're not interested in seeing a pelvic floor PT right away. These are going to be some things that you can consider about doing at home, so that there's other ways for you to take care of yourself. Hey Angel, it's good to see you. So the first thing I want to talk about is knowing about what you're putting in your body. And I know like every healthcare professional ever is like, watch what you're eating, diet and exercise. And yes, those are really important things. But for urinary incontinence and different types of incontinence in general, the food and drinks in which you're consuming actually have a large effect. So the different types of drinks, so alcohol. Hi, Mr. Clayton. Alcohol in general is an irritant to your bladder, and the things I'm about to list off are very irritating towards your bladder. Oh, thank you so much, Francis. I'm really glad to be helping moms. Like, that's just my main goal, is to find one person to help with the information that I'm giving. So your bladder has these sensory, almost not necessarily organs, but they're sensory like spots within it and on the bladder wall itself, that when you're taking in different types of food, there are certain types of things, food and drink, that are very irritating to your bladder itself, and to the lining of your bladder. So when the bladder gets irritated, it's like, hey brain, get whatever this is out of here. I'm done with it. It's frustrating. It's really, it would almost be like somebody's like rubbing your arm like over and over and over again. Your bladder's like, I can't forget about it. I can't hold this anymore. It has got to go. So if you're drinking a lot of coffee, if you're drinking a lot of tea, carbonated drinks, whether they have caffeine in them or not, and then alcohol are very acidic a lot of the times. They're also very irritating to your bladder. And talking about acidity, so fruit juices, lemon and lime juice are also very irritating to your bladder. And I know a lot of people are like, these are super things that I drink all the time. You cannot take my coffee away from me. And I totally get it. Just to give you guys, probably TMI, probably way too much TMI. When I drink coffee, it increases my urinary frequency because, once again, it is very irritating to the bladder, even for people that haven't had kids. And like Miss Francis said, nobody wants to do the pee-pee dance for the rest of their lives. So this is just something that can potentially help you kind of control your different periods where, okay, I'm having this cup of coffee, or in case of yesterday, I had like 2 cups of coffee and I was like, whoa, Nelly. So knowing that, like, I'm drinking coffee that is irritating towards my bladder, I know that I'm going to need to go to the bathroom more because this is very irritating to my bladder. It needs to get it out. So know what you're putting in your body. Food, if you're having spicy food can not only increase your bowel movements, but it can also be irritating towards your bladder. So when you're putting it in your body's going to wind up, using that food and nutrients how it's supposed to, and then it gets rid of the rest, whether it's through your pee or whether it's through your poop. So if it's hitting your bowel and it's spicy foods, it actually does kind of trigger you to need to go to the bathroom faster. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that. Comment if you have, because I think it's a part of life and people don't want to talk about poos and peas, but hey, here I am talking about poos and peas on Facebook Live. And then also tomato-based products tend to be very irritating towards your bladder. So if you're having a lot of spaghetti, or you're like, I'm going out to a really nice Italian restaurant, just know that that stuff might actually irritate you either, you know, an hour or two into however long your dinners are. I'm like a 30-minute, I'm eating and I'm out, but by the time I get home, I might be irritated and need to go to the restroom more. And then I know people like Amber, who was on Facebook earlier, saying that she was making a super great spaghetti sauce tonight for dinner. And I'm like, hey, it might increase your frequency. So just be aware of these different things. Now, if you're going to actually affect and kind of see what is causing you, which I suggest, let's take away these items. Take them away, and every 2 days, add one back in. See how it affects you. If it really helps you not having it in there, maybe that's something that you maybe limit, or just are really, really aware of how it's going to affect your body. And after 2 days, you add it back in and nothing's happened, add the next one back in. Oh my gosh, I forgot the biggest one in my life, and it is chocolate. Chocolate is a bladder irritant. Dang it, I need chocolate in my life. So once again, take those irritants out, start adding them in one by one, and see if something makes it better. Hey, Miss Jennifer. So slowly add it back in. And if you're less willing to lose things like coffee and chocolate out of your life, maybe just cut back on how much we're doing. And I do want to talk for a second, it's like a soapbox of mine, about coffee, Spark, Advocare, the different things that have like drinks in the morning. A lot of women tell me, they're like, oh, I drink Spark at my desk from 9 a.m. until noon. I'm like, okay, Spark, in case you guys didn't know, is actually a bladder irritant. I know it's really frustrating. A lot of women that are on Spark love Spark and love the not necessarily caffeine, I'm not quite sure what's in Spark, but the almost like it feels like caffeine, like they've had their coffee and they feel better and they get nutrients from it, which is great. But maybe we don't drink it all morning long, because then every time you have a little bit, it makes its way down to your bladder, it irritates your bladder, you get up, go to the bathroom, but then you have more, so we're just re-irritating your bladder all morning long, and then everybody's like, why have I gone to the bathroom 6 times in like a 4-hour space? So once again, let's try to either limit your irritants, or especially make sure we're cutting them down into drinking your cup of coffee kind of in, not necessarily in one sitting, like you have to down it. It's not a shot. Please don't try to take coffee in 5 seconds or less. Not necessary, but at least just not drinking it all morning. And the other half of my soapbox is that a lot of people that are kind of doing this all morning coffee, all morning Spark, or whatever, they don't want to drink any water. And it seems really counterintuitive when I tell you to drink more water for your incontinence, for your leakage, for your frequency. And it's actually because if you're drinking and you're having a bunch of these irritants in your body, and you're decreasing the amount of water that you're actually taking in, you're decreasing your ability to dilute the bladder irritants. Hey, Ariana, good to see another PT on here. So if you have less water, your body has less of an ability to dilute the substances that are hitting your bladder and irritating it. So now we have a lot of irritant in a little bit of water that's not going to really help you to flush it all out. But if we're having these drinks, or we're having some of these foods, and we are drinking a lot of water, your body has the ability to kind of mix those things within your bladder so that it's less irritating, so you have less leakage symptoms. And like I said, I know people are like, what, you want me to drink more water? Like, yes, water is important to you for more areas of your life than just leakage, but it's really important to this aspect. Another thing that we're going to talk about is what I call a bladder schedule. For you guys that are having urge incontinence, so that's the like, oh my gosh, I have got to go right now, whether it's like when you get home, you get to the office, whatever the case is, we can talk about your different types of urge. It's like being like, okay, I'm going to the bladder. Normally I go to the bladder at 6 a.m., at 8 a.m., at 10 a.m., and that's kind of an increased amount of frequency. So normally we're looking to go to the bathroom between 2 to 6 times per day. So really that's like every 2 to 4 hours. If you are going more than that, like technically your frequency is up. So if we get on a bladder schedule, we can slowly move you back down into the kind of schedule that is more normal for your body. And then once again, making sure we're having a really good water intake and a really good fiber intake, which is good for fecal incontinence, fecal impaction, different things of that nature. And then talking about fecal incontinence, and then some other aspects like that. I know I've talked to a couple of people whose kiddos are kind of struggling with urinary incontinence. And that's like a whole separate web episode, or like a live like we're doing, just because with pediatric incontinence, especially urinary incontinence, there tends to be a lot of different aspects that go along with it. One of the big ones is incontinence, and people are like, well, Paige, my kiddo has a hard time holding it till they go to the bathroom, but they go number 2 or poo every day. And I'm like, that might not be enough for their body. They might need more fiber. For kiddos, a lot of the time, like their social and emotional aspects of it are very important. And some kids who are having a math test or have super high anxiety have larger issues with this. So I'm actually hoping to see if I can get another physical therapist on the line and doing a Facebook Live. She treats this very often, a lot more than I do. And she's been doing it for a while, and I just want to get her opinion on it, hopefully coming at you guys soon. So be on the lookout. The next thing we're going to talk about are your meds. So once again, most people don't really consider what's going in their body when they're talking about what's coming out of their bodies. And medication have a big play in how your system handles things. But when you have high blood pressure or anxiety, your doctor's like, here, take this medication. It's for good reason. You probably need those meds, but I just want you guys to be aware of what those meds can do to your body. And if they are increasing different symptoms, it doesn't necessarily have to be leakage, but if you are having different side effects, there is also the potential that we can switch, your physician can switch your brands or even to a different type of medication and still get you what you need. But I do encourage everybody to go on to drugs.com. Yes, that is www.drugs.com. They have a search bar that you can just enter your medication name into, and it'll come up with like what the purpose of the medication is and the different side effects, so you can see that if it is adding to your leakage problem. Excuse me. Now, some of the things that are increasing your leakage problem are blood pressure medications, anti-anxiety medications, diuretics, which are actually helping get rid of water in your body, which means you need to pee it out, and actually antihistamines, which I live in Florida. There's all kinds of allergies all the time, and so antihistamines were a big thing for me. So medications are really important. Look them up. Let me know if you need help. I look up a lot of medications all the time for people, so if you need help understanding it, go ahead, shoot me a text, comment, message, whatever. Hey, Jonah! So the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is probably one of the biggest aspects of leakage that most women are going through, and nobody wants to talk about it because leakage is a hard thing, but there are social and emotional aspects to this. So leakage doesn't just affect your body, it's affecting how you're doing things, what you're no longer doing, and your relationships. So a lot of women tell me like, oh, Paige, I don't do CrossFit anymore. I don't do squats anymore. I can't go to the park and pick my kids up off the ground. Jonah, you're funny. I can't go play soccer with my kiddos anymore. I'm now avoiding doing X, Y, or Z because every time I do it, I'm afraid I'm going to leak, or I do leak. So I just cut that out altogether. Well, I'm here to tell you that number one, exercise is super important. I don't want any of you to become little 70-year-old ladies that have osteoporosis because you quit exercising because every time you did it, you leaked. Exercise is really important for more than just leakage, but it can affect you for the rest of your life, and I don't want you guys to wind up hurting yourselves long term because of the short-term problem. The next thing we want to talk about is just that there is a lot of shame because it is occurring, and embarrassment because it's occurring. Like, I don't want anybody to know that I'm leaking. Like, I don't need anybody to know these things. This is a very internal problem, and we're not going to talk about it. Wrong, because I talk about it all the time. It is not something that you have to live with. It's not something that needs to be an everyday pee-pee dance. It's not going to have to happen anymore if we can start getting you guys on some programs to work on it. The next thing I want you guys to consider is not only how it's emotionally affecting you, but who else is it affecting in your lives. So you've avoided playing with your kids. Well, now it's affecting your relationship with them. You can't go out and play soccer with them. You can't kick a ball. You can't pick them up because you're afraid of this leakage. Well, now it's affecting your children as well. And on top of that, most women that I speak with are afraid of intimate relationships with their spouses. And it's not because, of pain generally when it comes to those of you guys that are leaking. It's more because you're afraid that during the act that you're going to leak some. Well, now that when you are having these relationships, that's all you're thinking about, you're not enjoying it nearly as much as you should be. Your partner probably also is not enjoying it as much, and on top of it, you're probably decreasing the amount of times that you're willing to have these relationships because you're afraid of leakage. So now it's affecting you, it's affecting your partner, and it's affecting y'all's relationship, and that's just not something that I want for you guys, especially when it comes to leaking, because those are types of things that we can work on and that we can really address. So last thing I want to leave you guys with is that there is a lot of hope for this. Take what we talked about, look at your medications, look at what you're eating, try changing some of it, even if we need to, get on the phone and talk about maybe a bladder schedule and how we can affect what really your personal symptoms are. I'm here to help. I'm not working right now as a physical therapist. I can't function right now as a physical therapist, so I'm here for you guys. We're here just to help you and to get you what you need, and just to let you know that there is hope, that you don't have to deal with this for the rest of your life. So if you need me, feel free to comment, contact me. Let's get this worked on. All right, guys, thanks for another great video. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Ooh, if I can turn this off.